So let's talk about a couple of things that I mentioned yesterday. One, we are predicting some pretty serious things coming down the pike. Let's start with the increase in union organizing activity. First of all, let me tell you what we've seen. We've seen the Teamsters going out on a tear, and they've been doing a lot of organizing. And this is no secret because they had their constitutional convention and they flat out announced that they're going after Amazon and other companies around the country. And they are. They're not the only unions that are organizing right now, but they're the ones that are by far the most active that we're seeing. Other unions are definitely working on a plan to take advantage of the situation that they're in right now and recruit new members. As most of you know that watch the videos that I put out, we are a union avoidance company who believes that companies are better off if they can communicate and work well with their employees. And we are a pro-employer and pro-employee company as well. With that said, we have to look at the employee part of the equation right now. No matter how hard you're trying as an employer, like I said on yesterday's videos, employees are getting burned out. They're getting sick and tired of the conditions, not just in the workplace, but in their social lives as well, and it's carrying over into the workplace, making them very, very ripe for union organizing. So what can you do? Well, first and foremost, if you're not doing annual union awareness training, that's paramount. It's very, very important. If you do not want a union, your supervisors and your management team should have some level of understanding on what it takes to stay union free, and it's something that really needs to be done on an annual basis just to keep it all in the heads of the supervisors, because union avoidance really is just good old-fashioned employee engagement and knowing what happens with the intricacies of the unions. And just remember, the number one cause of unionization is a lack of communication. Once communication breaks down, employees become frustrated, and now add on to all the other stress that's going on in their personal lives. That lack of communication can really hurt a company and cause employees to seek a third party for representation. And by the time they make that phone call to a third party, it could be too late. There are things we can do. Obviously, that's what we do. We have a successful track record in helping companies maintain their union-free advantage, but we also set expectations with the companies that once the campaign is over and they win the campaign, they have to make some changes. They have to work with the employees to build a better culture so that they don't have a campaign later down the line in the future. The second part I want to hit on is something I mentioned yesterday, is the increased tenacity that we foresee the unions having at the negotiations table. We know a lot of union people. We're from the unions. We've spent time in unions. Our president is the highest union official to ever leave the unions to work with management. One thing that we do know is unions know what we're talking about on these videos, that the employees are worn out, and they are using it to their advantage. And that's exactly how unions work. They look for whatever means possible. As Ricardo Torres puts it, our president, the unions look for, it's like water flowing down a stream. They're looking for the path of least resistance to get where they need to go. And yeah, they're not afraid to fight this time because they know that the employees are willing to walk, they're willing to strike, they're willing just to say, forget it, I'm done, we'll go somewhere else. It's not good. So you have to be prepared for the bargaining table as well. And that starts whether you're going into a contract negotiations session right now or 3 years from now. You got to keep an eye on these things. But the bottom line is you have to be there for your people. They're the most important asset you have. And let your employees know and understand in unique ways that they're appreciated. I mean, let's face it, I've said this in many videos, you can have $1 billion piece of machinery and have a group of employees running that machinery. Those employees can make $30 an hour, $20 an hour, whatever. They're still more valuable than that $1 billion piece of machinery that will sit idle without those employees. So to tie this together, we have to realize we are still in a crisis in our country. I heard it on the news 3 times in 2 days. Uh, Broadcasters saying back in the pandemic. No, there's no back in the pandemic. We're still in the pandemic. We got to realize that it's realistic, it's truth, it's logic. We're in a pandemic and we still have to take things seriously. In closing, unfortunately, unions are going to be more active. It's important that you stay ahead of any concerns that your employees have and you have as a leader. And by the way, just remember, when people engage us as consultants, they not only engage us because we have the knowledge and the experience and the track record, they also engage us because we are not close to the situation. And quite often we can walk into an organization and very quickly identify a problem because we are not so close to it. Another piece of advice I can give you in closing is think like a consultant sometimes. Just step back and get yourself out of your normal everyday mindset and ask yourself tough questions. Ask yourself, am I part of the problem? Is my leadership part of the problem? Are my workers part of the problem? My equipment that I have, is that part of the problem? What can we do to fix it? And what is the depth? What is the level of impact that these problems have on not only your productivity, your service levels, but the engagement levels with your employees? And once you start addressing that, you start to build those employee engagement levels, and that highly reduces the risk of you being unionized in a period where unions have an upper hand and can easily organize employers during COVID-19 and everything else we're dealing with now. So I'll bring you more tips tomorrow, and we'll continue having a discussion on the employer's role in healing. But yeah, this is part of it, because whenever there's a union situation and there's a union campaign, the division just grows. Anybody that's ever been part of a union campaign knows that the unions win or lose by failing to divide the workforce. But there is going to be some division during union campaigns that's going to compound the division that we were already talking about yesterday. So we'll see you tomorrow.